Hello, myself Dr. Anush Purwa. Today we will discuss about the pre-treatment processes of water. Screening. Screening removes large debris such as sticks and trash from the water to be treated. It is generally used when purifying surface water such as that from lakes or rivers. The other purposes of screening is to remove solid materials that could be cause of damage to the other process equipment or causes reduction in efficiency of the whole system. Classification of water screens. Screens are generally classified into following three types based on the size of their openings in the screening elements and mechanism of removal. Coarse screens, 5 screens, and micro screens. Coarse screens. Coarse screens are provided at streams intake to prevent floating materials of fairly large size entering into the lake. The bars of steel forming screens are normally of about 25 diameter with clear openings of ranging from 6 to 150 millimeter. The screen is placed at a slight inclination from the vertical to facilitate racking. Sometimes bars in the forms of frames are placed in duplicate so that one of the frames may be lifted for cleaning or repair when required without hampering the screening process. The bars in the frame are placed such that velocity of water through the screen openings should not exceed zero point 0.5 meter per second. Based on the water screening method used to clean them, coarse screens are classified into two types: hand clean coarse screens and mechanically clean screens. Hand clean coarse screens used in the screening process in water treatment at small facilities. Hand clean coarse screens are hand rigged. They are ideal to use as a standby during periods of high flow or when more modern mechanical screening methods are under repair or maintenance. Mechanically clean screens. Mechanically clean coarse screens increase efficiency and reduce problems in the water treatment process. Mechanically clean screens can be classified into the following four main categories: chain driven screens, catenary screens, reciprocating racks, and continuous belt screen. Chain driven screens. This is the figure for the chain driving screens. These front and back chain driven screens can rack from upstream or downstream. An automatic chain cleans the stream, increasing the functionality of the entire water treatment solution. Here the catenary screens. These front clean, chain driven screens use impressive yet straightforward internal mechanics to prevent further jamming in the presence of large or heavy objects. Reciprocating racks, also known as a climber screen. These water treatment screening solutions use one rack rather than multiple, making them less efficient when facing heavy loads during the screening process in water treatment. Continuous belt screens. Ultra high tech functional, and efficient. This type of screening has many racks and is continuous and self-cleaning, whether facing fine or coarse solid loads. Fine screens. Fine screens are normally fitted immediately after the coarse screen. In case of raw water storage is provided, the fine screens are provided at the outlet from the storage reservoir. The screening process in water treatment plants employs screens that have clear openings less than 6 mm called fine screens. They are made of wire cloth, wage wire, or perforated plates. Three common types of fine screenings in water treatment are drum screens. These are the rotating cylinders in the flow channel, step screens, fixed and movable plates across the width of the channel, static wage wire screens used by large treatment plants with ample floor space. Drum screens. In this type, the screening or straining medium is mounted on a cylinder that rotates in the flow channel. The water flows into either end of the drum and flows out through the screen outlet with the solid are being collected on this interior or into the top of the unit. Step screens. It consists of two-step shaped set of thin vertical plates, one fixed and other one is movable. The fixed and movable step plates alternate across the width of channel and therefore form a single screen face. The movable plate rotate in a vertical motion. Through this, the solid collected on the screen face is lifted up to the next fixed step landing and transported to the top of the screen to discharge into outlet. Static wire screens. They have a clear opening of zero point 0.2 to 1.2 mm and designed for a rate of flow of 400 to 1200 liter per meter square minute of screen area. Large floor area should require for installation of these screens and these should be cleaned once or twice daily. Micro screens. They are rotating drums screens which have a variable low speed. This is up to 4 revolution per minute, which is continuously backwash operating in gravity flow conditions. The filtering fabrics used should have an opening ranges from 10 to 35 micrometer and fitted on the periphery of the drum. The inflant enter through drum lined with fabric. The solids retained are collected through backwashing and transported for the disposal. Raw water storage. Raw water storage has been regarded as an almost essential first line of defense against the transmission of waterborne diseases. When water is stored in a reservoir, there is usually a great decrease or disappearance of microorganisms causing waterborne diseases. To some extent, this effect is due to sedimentation, but the bactericidal action of ultraviolet radiation of light is of major importance near the surface. The improvement in the raw water quality is noticeable as a result of retention in the reservoir. There are numerous biotic agencies which play a major role in reducing the pollution of enteric microorganisms. But prolonged storage of raw water sometimes causes growth in large number of various forms of algae, which increases difficulties in the treatment. Here the change in water quality due to the storage. So color, raw water having the in a scale of 30 Hesen, then store water it reduces up to the 5 Hesen. In case of turbidity in raw water, this is the 10 NTU. Now in store water, it is reduced up to the 1.5 NTU. Chloride as as in milligram per liter. In raw water, this is 54 milligram per liter. But in store water, it is again 54 because there is not any influence of the chloride by the storing the water. Ammonia, this is earlier, this is the zero point 0.3 milligram per liter, and after storing, it is 0.06 milligram per liter. Nitrite reduces zero point 0.1 milligram per liter to 0.01 milligram per liter in case of the stored water. Nitrate, if we measure in raw water, river water, then it is the 2 milligram per liter. Then if this water is stored, and then it is a reduction in nitrate, and this now value in stored water is 0.3 milligram per liter. Sorry. BOD. In raw water, it is 0.4-0.5 milligram per liter. Then in stored water, this may be 2.2 milligram per liter. Total hardness reduces from 430 milligram per liter to the 280 milligram per liter in case of the stored water. Iron, no changes in that case. Presumptive MPN per 100 ml. Suppose in raw water availability is a 6500, but in case of stored water is only 20. E. coli in per 100 meter, these are the available 1700, but in stored water these are the only 10. Colony counts per 1 milliliter. Suppose in 3 days at 20 degrees centigrade, these are the 50,000. Then in stored water, their availability is only 580. In case of 2 days at 37 degrees centigrade, in raw water, these are available in quantity 15,000, but stored water, this quantity or number reduced up to 140. Pre-chlorination. Pre-chlorination refers to the practice of injecting chlorine into the raw water when it is not so turbid but has a high bacteria count. Chlorination oxidizes and precipitates iron and manganese and converting them to ferric hydroxide and manganese dioxide if they are available in the water. Pre-chlorination also kills algae and bacteria, reduces color and assists in the settlement. If excessive silt is present in suspension, pre-chlorine is not so effective because silt absorbs chlorine without settling. In case of clear water with high ammonia content, chlorination is effective. A drawback of using pre-chlorination is that raw water has a high chlorine demand and more quantity of chlorine is absorbed than in later chlorination to affect the same degree of sterilization. It is not a substitute for the post-chlorination. Pre-chlorination is not a substitute for the post-chlorination. Erosion. Now, erosion. Erosion is the process of providing oxygen from the atmosphere to effect beneficial changes in the raw water. Due to erosion, undesirable gases such as carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide is liberated. The absorption and release of gases in water is a slow process, hence, water is agitated or a greater water area is exposed to the atmosphere. This is done by splashing water over trays to break up the stream into countless droplets, or by reversing the effects and blowing air bubbles through water. Gases are absorbed or liberated from water until equilibrium is reached between the natural content of each gas in the atmosphere and its content in the water. Therefore, if water is lacking in dissolved oxygen, it will pick it up from the air and its taste and appearance improves. If it has an excess of carbon dioxide or hydrogen sulfide, it will tend to lose them. Therefore, erosion is a cheap and valuable means of controlling taste, odor, and corrosion. Aerators generally falls into two categories: air into water or water into air. So, in case of the air into water, this method creates small bubbles of air that are injected into the water streams. In case of water into air, this method is designed to produce small drops of water that fall through the air. All aerators are designed to create a greater amount of contact between the air and water to enhance the transfer of the gases. There are following types of the aerators: gravity aerators. In this category, first one type is cascade aerators. A cascade aerator consists of a series of steps that the water flows over. In all cascade aerators, erosion is accomplished in the splash zone. Cascade aerators can be used to oxidize iron and to partially reduce dissolved gases. So here the picture of the cascade aerators. There are steps are available and water flowing from the upward up from up to down. Gravity aerators, in their and another example is the cone aerators in category of the gravity aerators. Cone aerators are used primarily to oxidize iron and manganese from the ferrous state to the ferric state prior to the filtration process. The water being pumped to the top of the cones and then being allowed to cascade down through the aerator. So this is a picture for the cone aerator process. Spray aerators. This type of aerator has one or more spray nozzles connected to a pipe manifold. The discharge through nozzle will depend upon its design and available head of water. The water is sprinkled in fine jets through nozzles to a height of about 2 meter to 2.5 meter. Diffuse air erosion system. The perforated pipes are installed at the bottom of the tank. The compressed air is blown through these pipes. The air bubbles, while coming up from the bottom of the tank, come into close contact of the water contained in the tank, and erosion of water is thus achieved. The depth of erosion tanks is generally about 2.5 meter to 3 meter, and they generally work on the principle of continuous flow with minimum detention period of 15 minutes. Now, mechanical aerators. Mechanical aerators are of two general types: surface aerators and turbine aerators. In case of surface aerators consist of submerged or partially submerged impellers, which are centrally mounted in the aeration tank. Surface aerators agitate the water vigorously, entering air in the water and causing a rapid change of air-water interface to facilitate solution of the air. Turbine aerators. Turbine aerators are usually a flow type that rely on violent agitation of the surface and air entrainment for their efficiency. A draft tube may be utilized to control the flow pattern of the circulating liquid within the aeration tank. The draft tube is a cylinder with flare ends mounted concentrically with the impeller and extending from just above the floor of the aeration tank to just beneath the impeller. Algal control. Algae are minute organisms classified as plants and proliferate in rivers and reservoirs. Alkaline water containing more concentration of nitrate and phosphate are prone to algal growth. Algae tend to float and are not easy to remove by means of settling basins. The best way to kill algae is by pre-chlorination before reaching the basin with a dose of 1 milligram per liter. Where organisms are more, a heavier dose of copper sulfate, approximately 2 milligram per liter, or chlorine, this is 3 to 5 milligram per liter, may be necessary before water is allowed to use. Strainers are widely used to remove algae either in the form of rapid sand filters running without coagulant or as micro strainers. Micro strainers are also effective if water is silt free and have been found to reduce the algae problem to the extent of 80% to 90%. So this is all about this current lecture. Thank you.